Hey, you. Hey, Bobo. You gonna sit in the garden with Mom? Come get with my mommy. Sitting here in the garden, enjoying my coffee, trying to put together a plan for everything that I need to take care of. I've got a huge bowl of cucumbers sitting on the counter in the kitchen. I have a couple gallon bags full of green beans. I need to harvest potatoes. I have all of my garlic that needs to be trimmed up and stored. And I also need to go around my garden and cut the onion flower / seeds off the stalks of the onions that I had let go to seed purposefully so I can collect seeds and then plant them for next year's crop. And so the analysis paralysis is definitely setting in. I am not a very structured person. I strive to have more of that in my life. And I need to commit to just one project at a time, but I have so many little projects kind of ongoing at the same time. So I'm just trying to strategize on what I need to attack first. Did I mention I need to harvest potatoes? I think I have one bed that's ready because all of the greens have pretty much died back, so that's a sign that they're ready to be pulled out. And I was going to put them into my wagon as I harvest them out of the ground, but the garlic is in there and I need to clean up and store the garlic anyways, so the analysis paralysis is real, and the overwhelm and a little bit of burnout at this point in the season of gardening happens every year because it all just comes in at once where everything is ready. I was thinking I haven't fertilized my tomato plants one time. I haven't really fertilized anything now that I'm trying to think. I think I did fertilize some flowers, some roses that I have planted over here one time, and everything's done pretty good in the grand scheme of it. But my tomatoes every year I always think are not gonna produce anything great, and then they do. But one thing I've got to say is I'm sitting here right across looking at my peppers. I don't know if you could see that, but I'm sitting here staring at my pepper beds, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't fertilize anything this year, but I did put down chicken manure in certain beds last year, and I know I put them in my pepper bed and they have done amazing. So I have every intention of cleaning out the chicken coops this fall. You can't just put straight fresh chicken manure on your plants. It's way too high in nitrogen. It'll burn everything and kill it. But if you lay it in the fall, sprinkle it in the fall, then the following spring it should sit for a good 6 months, and it'll be snowed on and rained on, so it'll wash it through the soil. And then come the following season, it seems to work magic. It's really awesome fertilizer, but you do have to be careful with it. And the other thing I've got going on too is I have an endless supply of horse manure, and I have over the years put horse manure throughout the garden every year. And that too, I believe you can top dress with horse manure. I'm not recommending this. I have done it though before where I top dressed a garden bed just to see what fresh horse manure would do, and it was fine. It didn't hurt anything, but I don't think you can put fresh horse manure and then plant put any sort of root or like new seed into fresh manure. I don't think that works very good. I think that too needs to sit for a few months, not as long as chicken manure. It's not as hot, but I haven't experimented. What I have done with the horse manure is when I clean out my horse stall, I'll put it in my garden beds, like throughout the fall and the winter when I'm not gardening anymore. When I clean out the horse stall, I'll just dump my clean out into the garden beds. It puts a really nice thick mulch layer down. It also helps protect the plant roots and things like that over the winter. Potatoes don't normally overwinter here in my area, and I have had them resprout under a layer of horse manure come the following spring. So I think it just puts like a nice insulated layer over the soil. So anyways, I think what I'm going to do is I think I need to tackle a couple easy projects. Canning takes me all day. It's an all-day process, and I need to can the pickled beans. And with the cucumbers, I think I'm just going to make some refrigerator pickles. These cucumbers got a little bit bigger than I prefer for pickles to can them. So I think I'm going to make a bunch of refrigerator pickles because you don't have to apply any warmth to them. And it seems like the refrigerator helps keep them crispy too. And they last a good long while because they're in a vinegar brine. So it helps preserve them in the fridge. And we did those last year and they were great. So we're going to do some more of those this year. This summer. Now I need to do them now. And yeah, but I think what I'm going to do is I need to clean up my garlic. That'll just be kind of a nice thing. And I need to get my wagon back. That thing's so handy. The gorilla cart. I love that thing, just so anybody knows. Or if they're looking for a good garden wagon wheelbarrow, because it also has the dump. The bed of it will dump as well, so it's just really handy. And it's super heavy duty, big wheels, so it's heavy duty wheelbarrow / wagon. And I forgot what it's getting at. Oh, I need that back, and all my garlic is sitting in it. So I think I'm going to start with that, continue sitting here in the garden. I only have a little bit more shade left in this spot, so I think I'm going to try. I might even just go sit in the grass over here. I'm not quite sure, but I just thought I would start with this so I get it off my mental list of the mind. And yeah, let's see how much we can get done. Not all that is going to get done today, that's for sure, but if I can get a couple of those things off the list today, I'll be happy. Come on, Mars. Want to show off your little boo-boos? Babies are getting big. They love to sit up here. This little one, I think this is a little boy. You can already see his comb coming in, but he's very sweet. Yeah, he's a sweet baby. He likes sitting up here on this little ledge. I opened up their door yesterday because I thought I was gonna cook them out. Everybody was so hot, and I've been worried about the ramp. And it seems like everybody's pretty much figured it out, but they still prefer to be inside. But I'm just happy that the door is open. I have this just this netting so I can have the lid open and they won't jump out. So I've had that open, But yesterday it was like 96 degrees and they were just, everybody was panting and had their little wings out. They were super hot. So it's kind of hard to film through. But there's a little update on the babies. Mama's doing great. She's not as mean as she was in the very beginning. And the babies are doing great, nice and content. Looks like it's nap time around here. Look at this beautiful dahlia. It's like yellow and pink. So pretty. I think it's gonna be a good size one too. This little container next to my chicken coop. I have a calendula in here that I uprooted it and just plopped it in here, and it actually took off. It was a while ago that I did that. And then cute little sunflower that's not looking so happy anymore, but these were just kind of like transplants from the garden that had sprouted on their own. And then this guy I got off of Marketplace, the tuber. So we'll have to pull these up for the winter time. I'm gonna go get more coffee and get started on my garlic. So here's what I got. Every different variety is in a different container, including paper bags, which I have more paper bags. But I have the labels of what each variety is in here with, you know, each container. So they're all separated based off of variety. And I think what I'm gonna do is just label the paper bag, keep them in there. And then I wanna do a taste test of the different varieties so that if we like one more so than the other, that's what I focus on planting this fall, because I will be saving heads to take and replant those this fall. So I prefer focusing on the ones we like the most. These are varieties that I've never planted like so many different varieties before, so I have no idea what they're gonna taste like. So that's kind of my thought process, is I'm just gonna clean them up and separate them based off of the variety. We'll taste test them, and then I can just add them all into one container. I don't wanna have all these different bags. I would prefer to just have them all in one container. So here we go. This looks like a nice spot. Coffee. This is for the scraps of the roots and the stalks. It's something to sit on. Okay. These kneeling pads are awesome. Take my shoes off and get some good earth medicine. Okay. So coffee out of the way. One very important thing that I need to mention is how long this garlic has been sitting out, drying and curing from the time that I pulled it out of the dirt. It's been sitting out for weeks, if not months at this point in time. So everything is very, very dry. The stalks are dry, the papers are dry, and that's what you want before you put it in your storage. Anything freshly harvested has the possibility of spoiling if it's not cured properly. Hi, Papa. What are you doing? Hi, baby boy. Hi, what doing? Yeah. after I get all the stalks trimmed off and the roots trimmed off the bottom, I just kind of take these outer papers off. And this variety is called chestnut, I'm not sure, but chestnut. And it's really pretty. It's got this like purple hue to it. Not a huge bulb, but it's not tiny. I definitely have smaller ones and I have bigger ones, but it's really pretty once you kind of clean it up.
Well, hi. Hi, handsome. Where's your girls? Oh, big boy. I feel like you got a crow coming. I feel like it's coming. I knew that was coming. Okay. See you later.
Just had some lunch. Almost done with my garlic. It's toasty out today. I wanted to show you what I've got so far. I have one more just tiny little bit left over here. But I've got, I mean, these are big bags. I've got a decent amount of each variety. Hopefully this gets us through the year. We go through a lot of garlic. So I wrote the name on the outside of the bag. So put the tag down in there too. So that when I save these bulbs, I'll just put the tag back in when I plant them. Or when I plant these bulbs, I'll put that tag back in when I plant them. But some of these are really nice size, so I'll probably be planting this one. It's really healthy. It's got nice papers on the outside. These are the Italian late, and I just wrote big bulbs there because I was kind of thinking I don't know how I'm gonna figure out how I separate them all. And then some of them are smaller. They're still nice sized. And then there's one of them that, yeah, this guy over here. This German red. We're just gonna have to eat this one right away. I do have one that kept the papers on it, but unfortunately this was a variety that I forgot about, so it started to split and it was like it was trying to reseed itself, and the papers aren't really on it anymore. And you want the paper on it to protect it. Actually, I think I've got a couple bulbs in here I could probably pull off, which is good because these are nice big sized garlic pieces. Yeah, see the paper's a little bit off. I need to research and see if there's like a little bit of exposed garlic. You want the paper on it to protect it in the ground over the winter, otherwise it'll rot your garden or your garlic bulb. So a lot of these, the paper's already like coming off, like the ground was already starting to disintegrate it. The dirt was already starting to disintegrate the papers because it stayed in the ground too long. So, I mean, some of these I'll just kind of trim these little spots off, but I think I'm going to wash all these up and put them in a container in the fridge, and we're just going to have to use these ones up right away. But what I do have of these left is, this is from the garlic scape, the shoot that it puts off with the flower, and I believe that these are like true garlic seeds. And so I thought that would be really interesting to plant these and see what we get. Next year, it'd probably only put off like one big bulb, and then you plant that again, and then you'll start getting like a whole head of garlic. But I thought that would be really interesting to plant because I've saved these before and I've never planted them. So I think that would be fun to try. And then this one was pretty much one of my only ones that kept the paper on, of this variety. Just this one. Unfortunately, this one got, this whole row of garlic that I planted got left in the ground for too long. But this one I'll save and replant if we like it. I'll know here soon because we're probably gonna have to eat up all of this because all the papers are starting to split off the garlic there, and that's probably not ideal to plant. So considering I had, like, when I bought this garlic last year, I bought, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 cloves. Not cloves. I bought 3 or 4 bulbs per variety, and then I planted those. So, I mean, it definitely gave me back what I bought and then some. But unfortunately, some of my bulbs are pretty small, and I think I just have to try again and give them a better growing conditions. I had chickens that were going out into the garden during the winter months, and they kept digging those bulbs up. So I don't know if I gave them a fair shot, is why I'm thinking they might have been small, and why I can't really judge their size this harvest. So I'm gonna try again. But I definitely got my money's worth, and I got my money back in terms of what I purchased last fall. So hopefully I can double that up this fall, and then hopefully double the harvest the following fall, 2026 fall. So kind of fun and an interesting process. As easy as garlic is to grow, I'm so burnt out by the end of the fall with all the gardening and the preserving that, and our fall and our frost can come on like really fast. And so you want to get your garlic in the ground before the frost and the freeze, but not too early to where it starts re-sprouting. So there's kind of a, and that's hard to just know exactly when to do that. But so many years in the past, I've waited too long, then the ground freezes over, and then I can't get it into the ground. So I'll try planting in the spring, and they just don't, they need to go through the freeze that tells the garlic to split and turn into a bulb. So when you plant it in the spring, you're probably just not going to get as large of a bulb as you would had you planted it the previous fall, which hence is why they say to plant your garlic in the fall for the following summer harvest. Anyway, so that's what we've got so far. So that took me a little bit. That was a little bit of a tedious task, but it was really nice, and it's a pleasant day. I mean, it's really hot, but sitting in the shade, it was really nice to just sit here and relax and look at my little baby chickens. They are outside for, this is their first day outside, and some of them prefer to stay inside still. There we go, which is totally fine. Everybody's content now that they can see each other. When they get separated from mom, they freak out, and they're very vocal about it. You can come down the ramp, and they're actually using it pretty well. I'm actually surprised with how they're using it. And then mom's got some of them over here. Yes, and everybody's getting along pretty well. Some of my other hens are a little bossy, which is just their personality. So the babies sort of get told what to do here and there by the other hens, but for the most part, everybody's getting along really well. And it's really cute seeing these little babies go up this big ramp, and luckily they have figured it out pretty well. Oh, so cute. This is what I'm left over with. These are the stalks, and this is like roots and little scraps of the stalks and dirt. And so I'm gonna throw this back in an area where I pulled a bunch of garlic out. That's gonna work as like a mulch, and the roots and the papers which are in there that all contains minerals too that the plants absorb from the soil while they're growing. So I thought I would throw that back into the soil. It might add some nutrients back into the soil of what was pulled out of it while it was growing. And then these stalks, I think I'm just going to throw back in my compost pile. And the other thing I just went and grabbed, instead of the great big Trader Joe's bags that I have, that's the garlic's taking up like this much room in the bottom of the bag, I just grabbed these like lunch baggies, and I'm just going to put the garlic in here, and then I can just set these bags. I've got 2 of these baskets, and so I was thinking maybe I can just set the bags in here and hold them all just in one container for right now instead of having all those big bags. So that just dawned on me. So I'm going to write the names of the garlics on the bags, and then I'm just going to stick them in the basket for now. And then I can put this in the pantry, and I'll figure out how I'm going to plant, or which ones I'm going to plant in the fall, and they can just sit in this basket until then. So I like this idea a lot better, because I still don't have my cart back, which I need back. So, and the other thing that I'm going to do too, with my onion seeds, I'm going to put them in these bags too, and also write the name, whether it's, I don't know if I'm going to know for sure what variety type my onion seeds are, but whether it's yellow or red, I'm just going to write them on the bag. And that way I've got those separated. Not that that really matters either, but my OCD mind does this and needs this. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the sandwich bags as opposed to, or the lunch bags, sandwich bags, I don't know. No, lunch bags. I'm going to use the lunch bags as opposed to the big Trader Joe's bags. Put them in the basket for both the garlic and the onion seeds. Hi, baby. Look at that happy puppy. Hi, baby. The first thing to put away in our spruced up pantry. Okay. Still kind of a mess over there. Need to put a second coat on the countertops. The plastic is barely hanging so that I don't get dust all over the cabinets when I sand the countertops down. But I've got all my canning jars over there, obviously the sander and the vacuum, and then all of our stuff over here. So I think what I'm gonna do is put them up there on that top shelf for now. I'll just set these up here and put these up there for now. Okay, feels good. I'm gonna go clip the onion seeds, the flowers that turn to the seeds. I'm gonna go clip those off of the onions that are in the garden. So I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with the garlic. I'm gonna put them in those little paper bags, and then I'm just gonna put them up here on the shelf. And then I also wanted to note that the things that are gonna be dried out, like the garlic and the garlic seed and my onion seeds, I like putting that into paper bags. Last year, I thought my onion seeds heads were completely dried out, so I put them into Ziploc bags thinking that would be fine. Well, there was still moisture in the flower heads. So when I put them into the Ziploc bags, I think I don't think I sealed them, but I think the tops of the bags kind of flopped over and there wasn't really air circulation in there, so it condensated and it got moldy and I lost a ton of seeds last year. So I prefer putting them in the paper bag because the paper will wick the water, and then I leave the bag open on top so that airflow still gets in there, and if there is any water, it kind of wicks into the paper bag and keeps everything dry. So don't do that. I'm staring at some right now, and we're gonna go get those, and then I'm just gonna store them up here on the shelf. So let's go get those. I got the goods. Went and iced up my drink. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put these little heads, or put the heads in the little paper bags or the big paper bags, but I was also thinking I might pull the onions too that these flower heads are attached to. We'll see. But if I do, these onions are just gonna come inside. They're not gonna be any good for storing. Once they go to flower, they technically don't turn into storage onions anymore. I like to plant storage onions, but these particular onions are from last year, and that's why they went to a flower and now to seed. They are biannual, so that means they flower themselves every, like, their second year of life. So I purposefully do that. I let some of them go to seed when I see them doing that, meaning I let them, like when I see the flower stalks pop up off of the onions, not all of them, because I do want to store some of my onions, but sometimes I will let some of those go to flower so that they will go to seed, so that I can collect the seeds for the following year. Hope that makes sense. So I'm not sure how far along the onions are going to be. Sometimes the onions aren't any good. Again, I'm still mainly after the seeds with them, but the onions that are still good, I'll just bring them in right away. We'll use them up this year. They just won't go on the shelf with the other storage onions because they will rot and go bad way quicker than the storage onions that didn't go to flower. First stop. I am just gonna put them into the big bag for now. Try to cut them without losing a bunch of seeds everywhere. Yeah, they are ready. Yeah, glad I'm doing this right now. I'm sure I've lost already a ton of seeds just from the winds. Okay, down in there at the bottom of the bag. They're already coming out. And I did leave a tag. So I had a red Zeppelin tag in this bed with these onions from last year. So I'm assuming this is a red Zeppelin variety. And then they're just tiny little bulbs, but we will definitely use them. Keep those in there. And then I'm going to put this tag down in there so I know the variety. And then I wanted to pull this guy. Well, those are pretty small, but definitely usable. There's one more in there, I think. Yeah, that one, see this, when they kind of split like that, I don't even know if that's going to be usable or not. But we'll pick through it when we go to chop them up. Okay, so this variety, I'm over here behind my zucchini plant. I don't really see a tag anywhere. I put a lot of mulch over here, but I can tell it's some sort of yellow onion. So I need to just write on the bag, yellow onion. because I'm not seeing a tag, and I'm pretty sure I left one in here, but I put some pretty deep leaf mulch here. So unfortunately, I don't know the variety, but most likely it is a storage yellow onion because that's typically what I plant. And that onion is a little bit larger. And this one was already starting to split and make its own new sprout. And that would probably turn into a flowering bulb come next year. But I didn't really notice that until I pulled it out. So it is what it is with that one. Let's go to this bed over here. I planted a bunch of my onions in this bed, and the grasses really did a doozy on my onions, unfortunately. But let's see here. I do have a couple little flower heads, and I have a tag of sterling onions, so I'm going to make them their own bag. Okay, let's try and put in there. Okay. Hi, pretty girl. Hi, Goose. My sweet baby. Okay, now we're gonna come down this way. Oh, I have some more in this bed too, which I planted redwings in here. I have pulled out grasses like 5 different times out of this bed, and they just come back just with a vengeance. This was another bed that I put a bunch of chicken manure in. And I do have some really good sized onions in here. Good red onions. And I think the reason why these ones are going to do good is because we got these ones planted the earliest. Just pulling out a couple of grasses here, but this is like a softball size, and they're not quite ready yet. You know when they're ready because the stalks, I mean, they're close because the stalks have fallen over. But then when the stalk is like really papery, like this one's ready because it's really, really close. It's not all the way papery. This still has like a little pinch to it. This one's like almost there. You can almost like touch your fingers through the paper. So I'm still gonna leave these because I'm not quite ready to, I don't know where I'm gonna put these to cure them. But it's kind of hard to tell. The grass is like totally taken over. And then this tomatillo plant, it reseeded itself, and it is gigantor. I'm never going to plant tomatillos ever again just because they pop up every year. But again, everywhere that I planted the chicken manure, it has just gone crazy, including the grasses that I don't want. But I am after this guy here. I had planted a few onions along this row that were from last year, and it looks like I only have one of those left. So I'm gonna grab that guy, pull it out, and see what kind of onion it is. Looks like another yellow, most likely a Patterson variety. Again, pretty small, still usable. And these little lunch size bags are plenty big. Now we're gonna head down here to this bed that I just let go this summer. And I let it go because I had onion seeds planted in it from last year, and I was just overwhelmed with it. But pretty much I've let this whole bed be dedicated to these onion seeds. It's an absolute mess, but I can see the little puffs of the onion part that I'm after. So next year I'm going to cover this whole part up with fabric, but for now it's just overgrown with mullein and grass, and I think I can see some catnip back in there and thistle, like all kinds of junk that you don't want in your garden. But we're after the onion seeds. This bed. Kind of embarrassing, but it is reality. It's a real organic garden. Yeah. And let's see what we got. These are a red wing. Happy to find this label in the midst of this disaster zone. It would have been kind of interesting to leave it and see if it would flower again next year. This bed was an experiment, and a bunch of my tags are gone or broken, like this guy. I don't know what that says, but we've got, these were old seeds, and so it was an experiment to see if any of these seeds would grow. And I mean, like, old. I think they're like over 10 years old. So it was an experiment from last year, and some of them grew. I did pull some from like in the springtime, but I left the ones that had the flowers on them. My thought process here is that these are probably a really strong variety. I don't know if these are storage onions. I think we had Ringmaster, Dakota Tears, and we had some other one that I can't remember. But I figured if the seeds made it, that probably meant that it was a, you know, a strong, healthy variety. So I am excited to hang on to these seeds and see how they do next year. My phone got too hot and shut off. These are that old variety seed, or old seeds, and a variety of them. Got a pretty good amount in there. I pulled some of these onions out too. See, they'll just like split, but these ones are still firm, so I'm still gonna use these. Some are bigger than others. Like that one's okay. Still pretty small, but we'll still use them. And then I just have the others in these bags. I will get some more of these little baggies and then put them into a basket to be stored up on the shelf with the garlic. I think I'm done outside. It was a hot day, like mid-90s today. So I should have been doing some stuff inside while it was hot and then come out in the evening, but again, me and my lack of structure, that makes too much sense to do it that way. So that, I think, wraps up my day in the garden with the little babies. I hope wherever you're at, you're having a successful garden season. And if you guys have any tips and tricks on how you like to store your garlic and onions and the seeds and things like that, let me know. I'm always curious to know how people preserve and store their harvests for the winter time. So I'll see you soon. There you go. So cute.